Law 27, I'm going way down, but this one, because I was like, Rare, if I was going to recommend this to read one chapter or one law, it has to be this one.
Don't dismiss something new. Approach everything with an open mind. Someone comes with a new product, for example, AI at the moment, people are dismissing that.
I was listening to a song the other day, Benny Banks, and he said, before you pray for wealth, make sure you pray for health. We take our health for granted, like we do. If you're healthy anyway, you do.
Question on it quickly. Did you work out how many?
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. I'm good, bro. I'm living forever.
We are in the building. We are back with another book review episode, The Power of Pages. I go by Ty.
I'm Mr. Fly. Ty's got the energy today, the high energy. I was admiring your high energy. That's what it was. I was like, rah, Ty's coming with it today. All right, cool, let's go.
Because we've got the Diary of a CEO, the 33 Laws of Business and Life. Mr. Fly picked this book.
Yeah.
Why did you pick it?
Well, we've already, we've gone through one of the books with Stephen Bartlett before, the Happy Sexy Millionaire. I do watch his podcast from time to time. I actually forgot that I bought this book because I got it on pre-order and it just turned up. So I was like, oh, and it came last month. I was like, all right, cool, that's our book already for next month decided. So I was interested that, Steve Bartlett's an interesting character. And I wanted to hear what he's got to say.
Okay, cool. And I think the first point really is, who is this book for?
Good question. This book, and it's funny, earlier today I was asking myself that. I was thinking, who's this book for? But I think this book is for a CEO, man. It's got elements in it that can apply to life, definitely, as we'll get into. But this book, if you're trying to run a business and trying to not be self-employed, but actually be a business owner with a team and be a CEO, this book is for you. What do you think?
I think for anyone on the entrepreneurial journey, really, it definitely has elements for a CEO specifically, but I definitely think anyone with an entrepreneurial mindset can take value from this book. And I actually think even if you don't, and you're working in an environment, you're an employee, and you maybe want to get a new job or a pay rise, I think there's still value to be taken from this book. So I think most people, if you're working or you're starting a business or you're thinking about starting a business, I think you can still take value from the book. But the ideal person for me is an entrepreneur or a business owner who has a team and is trying to build a team.
I think, all right. I'd say if you're interested in personal development, this book's for you.
Yeah. Good way to put it.
No, because I think that encapsulates what we're both saying, because we're saying similar things. But if you're interested in personal development, in any area, really, this book's for you.
And if you're a business owner or a CEO, you have to be interested in personal development. If you're a CEO and a business owner and you're not interested in personal development, your business, it's not necessarily going to fail because of that, but you'll be in a better position if you develop yourself for your business. I want to talk about the start of this book because he hit us with some fire in the start because he basically said, I am the man. And I didn't realize all the accolades and things that he's achieved until reading this book.
Okay.
So not obviously, he sold his first business for hundreds of millions. He's invested in lots of startups. He's a big investor in Web3 and built another business, multi-million-pound business. And he was just listing off some of his accolades, which I've forgotten, to be honest. But when I was reading it, I was like, wow, you've actually done quite a lot. I didn't realize that you've done a lot. I thought it was just you built your business, blew it up, sold it, and then started your podcast.
Okay.
That was my perception. But then when I read the book, I was like, oh, actually, he's done a lot. And he's
still doing bits.
He's still doing bits.
He kind of I think that's qualifying him.
He qualified himself. Why should you read my book? This is what I've done. And I was like, okay, you got my attention. So anyway, there's 33 laws.
Yes.
We're not going to go through all of them.
No.
Because there's too many.
Yeah.
Hit me with one.
No, I was thinking, because there's obviously the way he's broke it down into the 4 pillars. So I was thinking maybe we could maybe pick one from a couple pillars.
Yeah.
Because I know, wow, okay, where do you begin when you're trying to climb Mount Everest? You start with the first step. So let's go with the first pillar, the self, and let's go with the first law, which is fill your buckets in the right order. So he breaks it down to 5 buckets, which is bucket number 1, what you know, your knowledge. Number 2, what you can do, your skills. Number 3, who you know, your network. And number 4, who you have, what you have, your resources. And number 5, what the world thinks of you, your reputation. So he kind of talks about those buckets if you're trying to achieve something, if you're trying to do something. And then it's saying also you can't pour from an empty bucket. Then he says you need to fill the first 2 buckets first, which I also agree with. So I think this is a good concept. It's quite easy to digest as well.
Yeah.
And it applies to everyone. And again, it's applicable to all fields. You know, if you're a footballer, if you're a business owner, if you're a parent, X, Y, not your knowledge. What's your knowledge in the area you're trying to succeed in? And then what skills you have. You know, that's like a self-evaluation. So yeah, I like that. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And I understood it. It's quite easy to take on.
Yeah. And I think those 5 laws, like I was saying, it could be applicable to everyone. That could be applicable in a work environment. Say you're working in marketing, for example. What do you know within your marketing background? How good is your skill set within marketing? What can you do?
Yeah.
What are the skills that you can actually do within marketing? And then who you know. What other people in the marketing industry do you know that can help you elevate to earn a bigger salary, work with a bigger company? These are all fantastic points. And then what you have, your resources. If you're running if you're working for a marketing company, but do you have access to big cameras, big rooms to film in? And then what the world thinks of you. Do people think you're actually good at what you do? Because if they don't, then what are the chances of you working with them or progressing your career or whatever? And that is, like I said, applicable in all walks of life, and specifically for business owners, because ultimately we're salespeople. We're trying to sell our service or product, and all of those steps lead on to one another. And yeah, that was a great law to start with.
And I think he just closes off the chapter or the law with, you need to make sure you fill the buckets in the right order. So from 1 to 5, so that's not a random order. It's from 1, what you know, all the way down to what the world thinks of you, because that's the order you're supposed to do it in, 1 to 5. So yeah, no, very easy. And again, you can always keep applying that to different fields, because even as as a CEO, you might look at him. He sold a business, bought another business, invested. You know, you're always going into new sectors. Again, personal development. You're always going into new arenas, new areas.
Yeah. No. Yeah, like I said, there's so many laws. Let me give you one from the same section, Law 5, which is you must lean into bizarre behaviour. Yeah. And I like this law.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, there was lots of laws that I liked, and I just picked that one because it was on the same page of my as Law 1. But essentially, it's like the music store owner industry that failed eventually. In fact, I was somewhere the other day. Where was I? I was in Stevenage. Yeah. And there was a HMV.
There's still a couple around.
Yeah, I was shocked.
Yeah, there's still a couple. I think there's actually one in Oxford Street or Marble Arch.
So yeah, there's still a couple around. But ultimately, you know, Spotify, iTunes have kind of taken over that industry. And it was talking about, you know, don't run away from new things. You know, lean into them. Don't dismiss something new. Approach everything with an open mind. Someone comes with a new product, for example, AI at the moment, like people are dismissing that, like, oh, it's never gonna, you know, replace humans, or it's never gonna be able to do this. Well, actually, if you actually dive into that industry and learn more about it, there's lots of ways to capitalize off of AI at the moment. So yeah, don't run away or dismiss new things.
No, because I think at one stage, even now, look, everyone's got the iPhone. Well, most people have an iPhone. At one stage, the iPhone was new, and people were uncertain, and there was, you know, the mobile. Even forget before iPhone, the mobile phone was something that people thought would never take. So be an early adopter, and lean, and that's where, because you need to kind of be constantly moving with the times, you know. And again, like you said, in business and in anything, this is just, you know, it makes sense, because I think when you, especially from a business perspective, and the example he gave of the HMV director or CEO, they were very dismissive. And then they were like, oh no, like you said, it's never going to happen. But, you know, fast forward how many years. So, and now there's new things coming on. So yeah, you need to be open-minded. You know, and it might not even work. You know, there's been with technology over the years, there's been so many new things. That's just the next big thing, and it hasn't actually peaked. But you can't be dismissive of these things.
No, absolutely, for sure. Any others in that section that you want to touch on?
I mean, I liked all of them. There was, let me just, oh no, well, if I just stay on there, because this is something that I've seen a lot about this posted before on social media. So he spoke about cognitive dissonance. And then I thought that's very relevant and pertinent to like the times we're in now. As in, people kind of, it's something that everyone goes through. And then what was the name of whether it was a human psychologist or whatnot, but Leon Festinger, and he described it as the tension you experience when your thoughts conflict with your behaviour. So, you know, going away from business, and he gave the example of like people that smoke or may do things that they actually know it's bad for their health. And then regardless of what you portray, there's always that feeling of unease when and I think we all go through this, you know, I definitely do a certain thing. So it's like your behaviour doesn't necessarily match up with what your thoughts are, what you know is the right thing to do, the correct way to do things. And that's just a natural human thing. So I think that's something that I'm glad he brought it up. It didn't really fit in with the chapter that well, but I was still glad that it's kind of brought up as a discussion point, because it's not something that's, you know, if you look at like social media, there's a lot of, you know, you portray one side and the reality is a total different side. So yeah, it was just something that I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
That was in that chapter.
What law was that?
That was in the same law. That was in law. That was in the
Law 5.
Bizarre behaviour. Like I said, it didn't really fit in. I can't remember the context in which it was in there,
yeah.
but it definitely. And again, I posted it up on my story, and it got a lot of reaction. So it was just something. I just wanted to mention that. Like I said, it didn't really fit in with it, but But yeah. But I mean, within that one, there was always prioritise your first foundation. So what I did like about what he did with the chapters or with the laws, is after the law, he'll break down what the chapters or what this law is. So before he gets into the deep dive, he'll just say, you know, so this law makes the case that most of us have the wrong priorities. And, you know, so he'll just tell you what the law is, so you can kind of read that. So that was quite cool. But yeah, your first foundation is your health.
Yeah.
And that's what we forget about. You know, everyone's so eager and pushing you know, I was listening to a song the other day, Benny Banks, and he said, before you pray for wealth, make sure you pray for health. You know, we take our health for granted, like we do. If you're healthy anyway, you do. And it's something that's your first foundation, bro, because forget about it. You know, if you are unfortunate to not be, to suffer from ill health, then you're going to realise how important your health is. So again, going back to that cognitive dissonance, you know, if you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, taking drugs, drinking alcohol, doing things you shouldn't be doing, smoking heavily, remember your health is your first foundation, you know, and yeah, that's what I got to say about that.
That's deep, innit?
It's deeper than rap. It's deeper than rap. That's what I liked. That's, you know, it's real. Like, it's real. The more, again, as it happens, when when we read these books and we go back through the notes, you're like, raw, okay, I remember. And it's true, your first foundation, man. You know, and I'm not gonna go into it too much, but I saw a post from an old friend who's now passed away, and the post was, it was weird watching it, because he was talking about, he just started experiencing some symptoms, and so it's just it was quite weird watching it, and so yeah, health is important, man.
No, health is important, and I think as well, when we get older, when we're younger, we take it for granted, for sure, and when we get older, we start experiencing aches and pains and whatnot. So what about useless absurdity will define you more than useful practicalities?
Yeah,
I like
crazy.
this, Law 10. I like this because it was a weird one. Like, it's like doing something dumb, in theory dumb, can be so powerful for your business or for your perception, and I'll give you the example that he gives in the book, because in their office, Stephen Bartlett paid for a blue slide in the office.
Mental.
That was £13,000 So you invested £13,000 for this blue slide. Now, hardly anyone went down the slide. Maybe they went down it, to the first week or whatever, and then it was just there. But every time companies came to his office or partners came, they would all mention the blue slide and be like, "Oh wow, like this blue slide is it's so cool. It's such a quirky feature to the office." This blue slide helped him to foster relationships, bring in more work. Yeah. And that £13,000, even though it didn't directly bring the business money, it actually indirectly brought the business money because it helped foster relationships, it helped everything else. This is a great point. And one of the reasons I love this point is because this is what basically my business, essentially, I'm convincing companies that employee well-being is going to help their business, right?
Okay.
In some ways, it's really hard to prove.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's hard to prove directly that this has impacted productivity, which has now led to the business earning more money. Yeah. But it works. Just like this blue slide.
Yes. Yeah.
Works.
I get the link you're making.
You see what I mean? Yeah. If they looked for data and stats on how the blue slides impacted sales, they wouldn't be able to find any. But it actually impacted, not directly, but it impacted sales. So basically, his point is using things that are so silly and so stupid to like gain recognition and brand awareness. So he talks about Tesla has kind of like some unique features that people, Instagram and Snapchat and...
I think that's very much telling of the times, because he mentioned, we were speaking the other day and he was like, "Oh, that's a Stephen Bartlett sentence." I said something about Instagrammable.
Oh, yeah.
So, especially in the times we are now, people are always, companies are looking for ways to become Instagrammable. They want people to come and take a selfie by their thing or take a picture or whatever it might be to start trending. So, this one is definitely PR. It's a PR exercise. I don't know, that wasn't the intention when he bought it, I don't think, but they leveraged it to become a PR activity. Because when I was reading this, I was like, okay, how do I apply? I was thinking, how do I apply this to a Fit for Life youth? You know what I'm saying? How do I apply this? I was like, okay, what could we get something that's so, but do you have the resources to get something so absurd? And then, but no, it works, and it's about branding at the end of the day. And then if I'm thinking of with certain celebrities, they might look at Chris Eubank. Senior, he used to drive around in
the truck.
In that truck.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Whatever they call it. So he used to drive around in that truck. So it becomes, and I'm sure it becomes something that people talk about and they want to see it and whatnot. And this was before Instagram. Yeah. So, and there's lots of examples of people that do those sort of things. So it works. If you've got the budget to do it, if you've got the resources to do it.
But I don't even think it has to be crazy, in terms of financial, because let's look at Tesla, for example, right?
But all right. But let's look at small. They've got resources.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, what could we do? In your business, what could you do? You're right. You don't have to spend loads of money, but I was just thinking, what could a small to medium sized business do? Yeah. And again, because like you said, you can't necessarily justify it. You can't look and be like, since we got that blue slide, sales have gone up. Yeah. Because of the blue slide. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't really have that runway that you can be like, well, we can afford to, or maybe you do. But you get the point I'm making.
It's like you don't necessarily want to invest in it because you're like, is it going to work? Will this actually have an impact? There's no proof. Whereas if you invest in hiring a member of staff, it's like, okay, that staff can actually do some work. Yeah. I can see the direct.
Because I'm thinking, all right, cool. The more I'm thinking now, and it'll be the last thing I say on this thing, is maybe a mascot. Yeah. Just get a mascot and then who runs around the street or something and then that mascot gets a reputation and people now see the mascot, they want to take a picture of the mascot, yada, yada, yada. It can, they lose the money, but it takes time and effort. But it's and I don't disagree with it. If you can do it, then do it, man. That was in the second pillar, by the way, the story.
Okay. Sorry, I'm jumping pillars.
It's fine. No, it's cool. That's number 2. So.
Yeah, cool. All right, go on. Hit me with another one.
No, all right. We're sticking with that one. Yeah. And I do agree with this one. Is avoid law 11. Avoid wallpaper at all costs. So wallpaper. If you go into someone's house, you seldom remember what kind of wallpaper they had, unless it's something crazy. But basically, this is just what he calls what is called habitation, and it's just where the brain tunes out of things that it doesn't need to focus on.
Yeah.
Like we're in a room now, there's lots of stuff happening. You'd be overstimulated if you were solely focusing on every single thing that happens. So your brain will kind of zoom in on those specific things. So you're saying you don't want your business to become kind of bland mayonnaise, where people don't really pay attention. So, you want to get reactions, you want to elicit reactions from people with your products or your services or whatever it is. So yeah, don't become wallpaper, essentially. I thought that was a good...
Yeah, I think on that point, the term he uses, habituation is where like things just become part of our surroundings. So he used a good example with goal setting actually. It's like when you write on your mirror and you've got a note there that says, do 10 press-ups or press-ups or whatever. The first couple of days, it might make you think, let me do the press-ups. Then eventually, it just becomes a piece of paper that's stuck on the wall. So, I mean, he talks about moving it in different locations if that's what you're using to goal set. But, simply walking down your local area, there's probably so many shops there that you don't even pay any attention to. You might not even know that there's an estate agent or something on your road, because simply you're not interested. It's become part of the route that you take. So you don't want to become that. You want to become a business or a person that is on the forefront, etc. To progress, I guess.
Because that lines up a lot with vision boards. Because I stopped making vision boards a few years ago because I was like, you just forget, you just stop seeing it.
Yeah.
You just stop seeing it and like it. But that's a good strategy, as in to move it around from place to place, because then you're being intentional about it. You're moving it here, moving it there. But yeah, and then even with like other things, he says about phrases, terms, like the term, broke the internet, viral, whatever. These sort of they at one stage they had meaning. Yeah. But now they don't have any meaning anymore. I don't think anyway. Do you know what I mean? So there's certain things like, that was crazy. Like you see on all that when you're watching YouTube videos, crazy. Goes deep, raw on, like... It's not raw, is it? It's just what you're saying to try and get my attention. And then what happens, and this reminds me of something I saw, and this kind of boils down to marketing. And then one time, Gary Vee must have gave a talk one time, and he was talking about with marketers ruin everything. So if all of a sudden, I don't know, hairbands become a thing, and it's like, everyone's doing these different colour hairbands, and people are really buying into it out of a natural, organic thing, marketers will realise that and then start rinsing it, basically, using it until the point where, and it will hit a peak and then it will just die down because it's been overused, and that's then it becomes wallpaper and it becomes annoying. So you kind of need to try and be originality is the main thing, I think, is what is a good message to get from that, being original.
Yeah, the term he uses is semantic
citation.
Satiation or...
I don't know how to pronounce it. I got it here. I don't know. Yes, semantic satiation. A word or a phrase becomes temporarily inaccessible due to the repetition and the brain's inclination to tune out things. It doesn't need to commit to or resource to, so your brain just shuts it out. Yeah. Interesting fact though, what you said about walking down the street and not seeing nothing. Like if there was an estate agent, if you were looking for a house or looking to buy or rent or whatever, is it RAC reticular? Your brain would pick it up. Because it's relevant to what you're looking at. It's like if you are looking to buy a new car and you're interested in a particular brand of car, all of a sudden you'll start seeing those cars everywhere. They've always been there, but you just didn't notice them because you weren't interested in it. I think it's called RAS, but I don't remember what it stands for.
Okay. I don't either. I mean, kind of sticking on this point, going straight, I mean, it's the next law, it's law 12, and it's saying you must piss people off. But he talks about books and the popular books that a couple of years ago, books with swear words on the front were so popular. So like Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Never Giving an F, and it's like, there were some other books that he referenced. And they became so popular and bestsellers. And actually some bookstores didn't stock them because they didn't want the bad language shown on their on their bookshelf, but actually it attracted other people who didn't mind it. So it's like, in order to be successful, it's saying someone has to kind of dislike you. You've got your tribe that likes you and work within that. But similar to the semantics satiation,
Yes.
now the books with swear words on them are like, they're not as impactful because it's been and done now. It's like, it's not as...
Marketing's doing everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at one stage it hit, and whoever was the first one to kind of lean into that was being an outlier and was being original. And then, that works. Let's go in that. And that's the way it goes. But yeah, I think I don't necessarily agree with it. You must piss people off. Even that title, you must piss people off, is, he could have worded it in a different way, but he's done it to get attention and to make you think, what's this all about? But I think you definitely need to make people feel something.
Yeah.
You know, either way. Does it need to be, do you need to piss them off? I don't necessarily know. But, you know, I think there's a verse in one of Kanye West, and he's a perfect example of someone who does that stuff like that. But he's like, everybody feels something about Kanye, but at least they feel something.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, you know, some people love him, they hate him, but they feel something. They're not like, oh, he's all right. That's the worst.
Yeah.
You don't, other books have spoken about this before. You don't want to be like, oh, he's cool.
Yeah.
You know, if you're trying to kind of get people.
You don't want to be mayonnaise, you want to be Marmite.
Yeah. You don't want to be wallpaper. You don't want to be. So yeah, man, and that links in really nicely with the one before it. There's a lot, man. There's a lot. I'm thinking of, all right, because we're Law 27. I'm going way down, but this one, because I was like, Rare, if I was going to recommend this to read one chapter or one law, it has to be this one. And trigger warning. No, because it has to be, and this is.
Did it hit this?
But it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Like it has to be. So the discipline equation, death, time, and discipline. So I'm just gonna read what it says. So this law teaches you how to be disciplined in anything that you set your mind to, through a simple discipline equation, and why discipline is the ultimate secret to being successful in any ambition we have. So in this book, he talks about literally how many days the average person is going to live. And you break down, you know, he broke down, he's this age and he thinks he wants to live up to that age. You know, and we speak about it, well, you see it, I've seen it around, you know, you've got you've got 24 hours every day. And you don't ever get those 24 hours back. Deep that, do you know what I mean? Don't just take that for granted. Don't take it for granted. And whatever your ambition is, whatever you're trying to do, whether that's to be a great parent, whether that's to be a great partner, whether that's to be a great footballer or to run a great business, you have a limited time, and it's something we don't think about. You know, on this earth, you've got a limited time. So this for me, I was like, well, if I was to give one chapter to somebody, I would give them this chapter. And one of the last things I'll say on this is he breaks down the discipline equation, and is the value of the goal plus the reward of the pursuit minus the cost of the pursuit. So the value of the goal, you know, you want to achieve this goal, that's worth X amount to you, plus the reward of the pursuit. And then you minus the cost of the pursuit. So how long is it going to take you to get there is what you subtract from it. So yeah, what did you think about that chapter?
Yeah, I thought it was good. Question on it quickly. Did you work out how many?
Nah. Did you? Yeah. Nah. I'm good. I'm good, bro. I'm living forever. But no. I didn't.
So just for some context for the viewers, in the book, it basically says you've got X amount of days left in your life based on the average US life expectancy. And it does it, you know, if you're 30 years old, if you're 31, etc. There's a range it does it. But it didn't have my exact age. Yeah. So I was like, I just roughly worked out. I was like, okay, based on the US life expectancy, I've got 16,000 days left to live. And I was like, but I feel like I'm going to live longer than the average person. You know, in my head, I'm healthier than the average person. But yeah, it was just like, okay, raw. Like, when you look at it like that, it's like...
Yeah, I mean, you're a good boy. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. But it was, as well, when we say, all right, cool. We say we got 24 hours a day. Yeah. You sleep for X amount of hours. Yeah. So that already subtracts that. Then, you know, sometimes you're set actually being idle, which is good, which is fine. So you don't actually have as much time to kind of work towards what you're trying to work towards. You don't have the whole 24 hours. I mean, you could stay up for 24 hours, but how sustainable is that? Yeah. What's the, is it, you know, we can get into that conversation. So yeah, man, chapter 27, or law 27, if you're not, you know, if you've got the book and you haven't read the book, maybe start there and then go back, because then that might give you some fire.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Let's have 2 or 3 more before we go into
Okay.
our difficulty and star rating.
Okay.
I wanted to touch on law, where is it? 25.
Okay.
The power of negative manifestation. Loved this one.
Did you?
Yeah, loved this one. Because it was like looking at things from a negative aspect to help you find the positives. So let me give you an example. He was launching his a new segment of his podcast.
Yeah.
He's got his podcast already. He was looking to branch out and get, branch into a new segment to it. And he got lots of his team to work on it, his resources. And then he got them all together to sit in a room and discuss why this idea will fail. That was the question. Why will this idea fail? And when they started analysing all the possible reasons why it would fail, and it was like, well, actually, if we take on this, it means it's going to take away resources from the current podcast. It means whatever reasons they come up with, it ultimately ended them to actually scrapping that extra podcast and focusing solely on his Diary of a CEO podcast. When they did that, the Diary of a CEO podcast boomed even further. Like, it started gaining more and more traction. So if they didn't ask that question, they might have pursued the other thing. It might have taken up so much resources. I mean, we don't know what would have happened. But based on that question, it allowed them to see the setbacks and the drawbacks to the thing. And I think this is good, because if you can see the setbacks, then you can work out a plan of how to avoid those setbacks. So that's why I love this question. Most of the time in business, we look at, how is this going to work? How are we going to market it? How are we going to sell it? But we're not looking at actually, why won't people buy this from us? And I think that's a great question, because then it's like, okay, they might not buy because it's too expensive. Do we need to consider the price or whatever? That was it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, with that, I mean, I wouldn't say I loved it.
Yeah, okay.
But I definitely appreciate it. And again, you posted this actually. I remember you posted this up. But yeah, I think they were gonna launch a network, a Diary of a CEO network, podcast network or something like that. So this was a good chapter. I think we spoke about previously. We spoke about problem solving, and that's essentially what you want to do with this. So if you do like a SWOT analysis, this would be, you look at your weaknesses and is the price too high? Do we need it? What's the market saying? X, Y, Z. It's definitely important to do. I think you should always, we kind of we have our little inside jokes, and we'll be like, and I'm not going to use the word that we say, but we'll be like, that's for them. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know? Yeah, you know what I mean. So we'll be like, that's for them. We're doing this. Yeah, I done that for them. So because we know that basically, let's call it haters, but it's not actually haters, but people that if you want to put yourself out there, you need to think, okay, what's the other side going to say? What, and they might be valid in what they're saying. If we're trying to present ourselves in a certain way and we're not living up to that, that's a weakness. That's the reason why it would fail. That's a negative. So we got to think about the negative. So I think we do it. And what I did, and I had mixed feelings about one way the book was written. There was a lot of lists and a lot of point 1, point 2, but he definitely talks about 5 main reasons why people shy away from asking themselves the negative questions. I'm not going to go through all of them, but one that has definitely helped me in my business journey, should I say, is the sunken loss fallacy. Which somebody spoke to me about. And it helped me with where we are now with Fit for Life Youth, where, and sunken loss fallacy is essentially like, I've been doing this for the last 5 years. I can't stop now because I've already given 5 years of myself to do this. I've spent X amount of money, I've spent X amount of time, I've done this, that, and the third. Sometimes you just got to cut that, you just got to cut it off and say, I tried and failed. And that's hard for us to take on. So that's one reason why people shy away from things that are failing. And then the second one is groupthink bias. If we're in a room of people and everyone seems to be agreeing, you don't want to be that one that's like, I don't think it's a good idea, but I'm not going to say anything because then maybe I'm the one who's wrong. Again, and that might piss people off. Do you see what I'm saying? So they all interlink. But no, it was a good chapter. I don't know if I loved it, but I definitely appreciated it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, have you got anything else to say on that one?
Not on that one. I've got another law, but I want you to give me one before.
Cool. Yeah, cool. I got one, and I'm trying to find it, and I can't, but I remember it anyway. And you might remember it. The Plan A.
Okay.
Bro, this one hit. I don't even remember this. I hear it. Become a Plan A thinker. I'm not.
What law number?
Law 22. So, this law will demonstrate why your Plan B in life might be the biggest hurdle to success of your Plan A. Oh my days, he told a story. No, didn't he?
Yeah. No, I'm just laughing at you. Go on.
This story had me on the edge of my... I didn't know this story. Did you know this story?
I need to.
There must be a film about
it.
There must be a film about it. So I need to find the film. Anyway, but this is a true story. So Nando Parado was I don't know what his job was. I don't know why he was flying. He's doing. You can fill in the gaps here because I'm not doing that a lot. Yeah. Very long story short, they were on the flight. The flight crashed in some mountains. Everybody died. No, a lot of people died. This is a true story. A lot of people died. The people that survived were left on top of a mountain, no food, no nothing. They realized that the only way they were going to survive is they'd have to start eating the passengers, eating the people that died. So they ate the pilot first because they said it was his fault. Then, they were in a situation. So anyway, this guy, Nando Parado, and someone else, his mum and I think his sister died, or two his family members died. I can't remember exactly who it was. And then he didn't want to eat them. Obviously, it's peak. Yeah, you see your face. Exactly. Yeah, it's peak. So anyway, he didn't want to eat them. So him and somebody else was like, "No, we need to go and find help, because if not, I'm gonna have to go back and eat my sister or my whoever." So anyway, they trekked for so many days, and they found help. And they found help. They had no plan B. They were willing to die instead of go back there and do that. So now let's bring that back to business. And again, I did post this. I don't know if I posted if I got the And this is what he says. When the human mind excludes all other possibilities and fixates on a single path, the path draws in every available ounce of your passion, perseverance, and power, leaving no room for hesitation or deviation. Like, Plan A.
Yeah.
Plan A. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I posted this on my story, and then some people did hit me up, but I know, but it's good to have a Plan B. Yeah, it is good, but I think it's better to have a Plan A.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was a deep one.
Yeah,
and more so because of that story. Like that story hit it home.
Yeah.
That
if you're in that situation, it's a mad story. Like
I can't even imagine.
You can't even imagine. Yeah. But I think it goes to show the power of the human mind and the human will and determination. They had no other option, so they had to make it work. They were willing
to die. If I don't find someone, I'm dying.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. Yeah. There's no everything else. It's done.
But I think in that situation, it literally was life or death.
Yeah.
And in business or in our life, we can afford to have a plan B because most of the time it's not life-threatening.
Is that weakening your plan A though?
Yes.
So is that a good thing?
Not necessarily. No, but we could debate about this for.
Yeah. No. Well, let's talk for a minute. Let's talk about it because I think if you've got a plan A and that's your only option, all right. Let's use a sporting analogy, and you know that if say let's boxing, you have got no option but to go and achieve that goal, as in you need to knock this person out because there's no other plan B. You're gonna, and you might even fail. Let's not say you're not gonna fail, and even in business, you might actually fail, but you're still totally focused on what you need to achieve. Maybe it can be. I think it's a distraction.
Yeah.
I think he's right. I can't disagree with that. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that it's good to have a plan A and focus on that, laser focus. And I think when you laser focus on one thing, it helps that thing become so much more successful. When you're trying to put your eggs in so many different baskets, it spreads that. And even just having a plan B, the backup of it, the thought of it, it's like, well, if this doesn't work, I can still go for that. I think it's a safety net, essentially.
Yeah.
It's a safety net.
Yeah.
And I think that just helps people feel comfortable.
Well, comfort zones then.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a good place to be?
Depends what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we can talk about. But
Yeah.
all I'm saying, the last thing I'm gonna say on this here is, it's not so kind of singular that, all right, you know, if I use like I just want to get fit for life youth and that's it. I'm not focused on it because then I've still got my wife, I've still got my family, I've still got this.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm only focused on this or I do got no other. But your ulterior goal, your ulterior motive then breaks down into other smaller goals, but the goal is still the same. The mission is still the same. That's what I'm saying. So your plan A is I want to do this is what I want to achieve. That's the plan. There's no plan B.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to achieve anything else. This is my goal. And then I'm going to, that's going to now break into other little buckets or whatever it might be. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not just like, I'm only going to do this one thing.
Yeah.
This is my goal. This is my plan. This is my mission. Like for him, with these guys, I don't want to eat my mum. I don't want to eat my dad. Or pause. But do you know what I mean? I don't want to do that. So it's like, I'm going to go and find somebody. And then once I find that person, they're going to come and save them. And then I get back home and it all breaks down. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, I mean, we could talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Last one, quickly.
Sorry, last thing. What do you think? I beg someone...
Write in the comments.
Write it, son. Who's right? Who's right? Yeah, who's right? Who's right?
I'm not arguing with you.
You are.
I'm just playing devil's advocate, innit? You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, I'm arguing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay.
That's okay. I'm just, debating with you about.
There's a bit about the book that disagree with you.
We're not going to go into that.
I thought that was a segue.
No, it won't segue. Because the one segue that I wanted to, the topic that we didn't touch on was ask, don't tell. And this was actually going all the way back to Law 6.
Okay.
And this was when Ronald Reagan won the elections by asking the American people, are you better or worse off than 4 years ago? He didn't go and say, vote for me because I'm going to do this change. I'm going to improve your life. I'm going to make you, the economy back up. He simply asked them, are you better or worse off than 4 years ago? And this allowed the American people to think, well, I'm worse off. Like, you're the solution. And the phrase Stephen Bartlett talks about is using a open-ended question like, it's not open-ended, but using a question that starts with, will you? And I wanted to ask you, the loyal people of this channel, will you support us by hitting the like button and hitting the subscribe button? Are you willing to do that to support us and support our channel? That was my segue.
I second that. No, but that was a good chapter. And I know obviously when you're managing people, I've realised that you get a better, and even in day-to-day life, because you don't want to get into an argument. You want to get to a solution. You want to get to an endpoint. So it's definitely better to question because you get the person to think. Yeah. And then it's funny. One of my friends said to me the other day about myself that I'm better at bouncing ideas of people, and that's because if I come with you for a solution, I already know what I think, but I want to hear what you think. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you what you think, and then you might. And it happens a lot. People say things, oh, that's actually a very good idea. Yeah, I'm going to do that instead of what I thought. Or sometimes they might say something that I don't agree with. But I'm not going to argue with them. I'm just going to be, cool. But you kind of confirm for me that my ideas, I'm going to just stick with what I think was right. Yeah. So with this, it's like, it's all about conversation, discussion, as opposed to like shutting you down or you trying to shut me down. Because if you try and shut me down, then I'm gonna rise up, and then it just goes, and then there's no positive outcome to that. Yeah. So definitely, but then again, there is a thread through the book. Everything kind of links up because this also with that Ronald Reagan example, I think he was the first one to kind of do a political campaign in that way. But now that's been used a lot. Yeah. So now it's lost its impact. It doesn't have the same impact it has because again, it's habitation. It's wallpaper now. Yeah. People just it goes over their heads. But no, definitely, ask, don't tell. The questions, what do they say? Questions, unlike statements, elicit an active response. They make people think, and that's what you want. If you're with young people, the young people I work with a lot of time, it's about questioning them because I want them to get enlightened themselves. We like our own ideas better than other people's ideas impressed on us. So if we come up with our own solution to a situation, it makes sense to us. Yeah.
And if we can help someone come up with their own solution, they're more likely to go with it. Yeah. Even if our questions are directing them,
No, but again, because what's that book you tried to keep from me?
Never Split the Difference.
Never Split the Difference. Yeah, that's the one. He talks about it when when you're, and this is more in a sales context, but still, when someone says that's right. Yeah. they or you're right. I can't remember the exact phrase, but you know, you're right. So they've come to that through the process of the questioning that you kind of go down with them. So, look, man, we could go in. Like,
Yeah.
There's so much.
There's so much. All right, let's go. Your book, your first, difficulty rating. How difficult was this book to read?
The book wasn't difficult. The one thing that made it slightly more difficult, maybe because I was taking notes, was, you know, more so towards the end. But I think it's because of that final pillar. There was a lot of like, this is the 5 steps to do this. This is the, you know, follow these 4 steps or 4 rules at X, Y, Z, which I didn't really like that much. But I'll give it like a 2.5. It wasn't difficult, but it wasn't necessarily easy. It's quite a long book.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I didn't find this book difficult at all. It's quite a long, well, it's a longish, not crazy long, but long enough. And I found it an easy read, very flowy. I'm going to give this a 1.5.
Okay.
Yeah, I found it, very easy to digest and take on board. Cool. Star rating. How good was this book for you?
This book, and again, I've been thinking about this, and I was flirting between certain numbers, but this is a 5, man.
Yeah.
This book is if this is the one book, I would give this. You want to do this thing? You want to be an entrepreneur? You want to start your own business? Read this because it helps you with your business. It helps you with yourself personally. Helps you with everything. So it's a 5. It has to be. I mean, that's what I think anyway. Yeah. What do you think? Will you agree with me?
This is a sick book. And out of the whole reviews, it's definitely up there for sure. And I say all that to say 4.5. This was a great book. And yeah, I find it hard to give 5s. Never Split the Difference for me was, you know, my 5. Even though I think when we reviewed it, I didn't even give it a 5. But looking back on it now, that was a 5. But yeah, 4.5. This is a sick book. Yeah. What more?
No, I need to break protocol, and I just want to. Sorry.
Go on.
There's one, and I sent you a thing right today. Sorry, I know time. Law 26. Your skills are worthless, but your context is valuable.
Ah, yeah.
This law. I'm just gonna read this, and that's it. This law explains how you can get paid multiples more for the skills you already have, and how the value comes from the context, not the skill itself. Read the book.
Yeah, links in the description to read the book. Right, next month's book, we have Deep Work by Cal Newport. Now, actually, I didn't realise we've already read a Cal Newport